Gear up for Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. It's your final word on sports all across the state. Here's your host, Phil Kornblum.
Out here, it's a course, if you can get it in the fairway off the tee, you're just going to have a lot of birdie looks. So it's clicking at the right time, heading into the British next week, and hopefully we can keep it rolling.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. On a Monday, in between vacation hops here, a little stop in Columbia, Phil Kornblut and the Professor. Tom Hayes with you, along with Jared Rogers Martin.
You've been running track today?
Say something.
You wanted to not play golf. You wanted to play.
Well, I had to sprint up Washington Street and up a flight of stairs. So I wanted to be here and make it on time.
Sounds like you did the 4x400 hurdles on the way here.
Good Lord.
How many cards did you? Lengthening of the hair. You look like George Washington over there. Let me look at a $1 bill.
Speaking of old George, I saw George over the weekend. Yeah, there you go. That kind of looks like me, doesn't it? I dropped many Georges, I can tell you that, over the weekend. Anyway, good to be back. Thanks to Teddy and Rick for being in on Friday. Pro was gone. I was gone. Jarmart was gone part of the time and then made it back from Charlotte. Then this week, now, I'll be gone the rest of this week. Yay. And next week. And Teddy's going to be here. Pro, you're going to be here?
I will be here.
Jarmart, you're going to be here?
I'll be here too.
Well, if I'm still breathing in a couple of weeks, I'll be back, and then we'll be into it full steam ahead with the football season. Tonight, we work a little football and a little basketball. Frank Martin joins us at the bottom of the hour to talk about the Gamecocks and preparing for the next season as a Final Four participant from last year. And we'll hear from David Shelton, a little high school football talk. The High School Sports Report has come out with its preseason rankings. So we'll talk with David about teams around the state. We've got recruiting for you as well. And Fisher DeBerry, South Carolina Hall of Famer, longtime football coach, of course, most successful during his time at Air Force. And they've got the annual Coaches for Charity event coming up next week in Greenville.
And, of course, the big story, I guess, somewhat locally, the Panthers general manager, Dave Gettleman, shown the door after 4 years. And what was a successful era for the Panthers, winning 3 straight division titles before last year. And of course, some of the wheels came off when Josh Norman was allowed to tiptoe out of town and make the big bucks with the Redskins. And I'm not sure that had anything to do with it, but apparently the Panthers looking to go in another direction from Gettleman. Gettleman, a guy has been in the NFL as a scout in several front offices in a over 30-year career, I believe. So maybe the Panthers are looking to not get young on the field, but get young in the front office.
And he's been a part of 7 Super Bowl teams, either in the scouting department or as a general manager. That's a lot of Super Bowls under his belt. He took the Panthers to 3 straight playoff seasons, like you said, in his first 4 years. There are only 4 teams in the NFL who have won more playoff games since they've hired Gettleman, and that's the Patriots, the Seattle Seahawks, the Green Bay Packers, and the Denver Broncos. That's good company to keep, and they let the general manager who orchestrated all that go.
Yeah, so, I mean, why now? You know, here it is. It's well after the draft. Are they not happy with what he did with the draft? Do they see some sort of downturn in his personnel decision-making, letting some people go that maybe he should have kept, or not signing some people he should have signed? I mean, I wonder what it was behind the scenes that led to Jerry Richardson making this move. Now, Jerry Richardson is not afraid to shake up the front office. Remember, he jettisoned his son a couple of years ago. And it wasn't too long ago that the president of the Panthers resigned. Help me.
I can't remember that name.
Yeah, come on. Former Wofford AD, Southern Conference Commissioner.
Well, we'll get
I see his I see his face. Great guy. A friend of Sports Talk. Used to be until we forgot his name.
Danny Morrison?
Danny Morrison. That's it. Thank you, Jarmart. Danny Morrison. So, I mean, it's not something that Jerry Richardson is opposed to do for whatever reason. Not saying that I think Danny resigned, at least publicly, on his own volition. So, anyway, a little shakeup there with the Panthers today. All right. So, now that I've got my breath under me, I hope those of you watching our YouTube feed enjoyed the show of me gasping for air. I knew running up the stairs was not the thing to do, but I was a wreck on my way in, and it really backed me up and slowed things down. So I was determined to make it on time. Since I'm not going to be here for 9 consecutive shows, I wanted to do things right.
Oh, okay.
On the last show, I do want to mention, of course, I'm not going to be one of those people that bores you with details of a vacation or anything like that. But I did spend the weekend in Washington with some old college buddies and wives, and we had a blast, obviously. But my goodness, what a great city Washington is. It is a beautiful city.
If you can get around it, that's the key.
Well, getting in and getting out is tough. I mean, from Fredericksburg to D.C. is tough. Stop and go on 95, going in and leaving on Sunday. It's just, I don't know. It's just the flow, the volume of traffic. It is tough. Around the city, it's not that bad. At least I didn't see it. I mean, we're walking and we're taking cabs and Uber and things like that. I will share this with you. This was a little surreal. So we spent Saturday, of course, walking around the National Mall and checking out the monuments, which were fantastic. The Korean monument, to me, was the most chilling of all the monuments that they have. It is so realistic. But anyway, that being said, we walked around Pennsylvania Avenue. We were in front of the White House, and of course, they've got it so barricaded you can't get near even the original fence line. They've got other barricades between you and that. And there was a police officer standing in the street on the front side of the White House. And so we were just we walked around the Treasury Department, which is right next to the White House.
Were they passing out any free samples?
I wish they were.
Okay.
And that's, of course, a huge building.
Yes.
Huge. And walked around that. And we were coming up behind the White House, which, much like the front, is cordoned off. And there's an area that used to be streets, and now it's a walking plaza. And we were just walking along that. Hadn't quite gotten to the backside of the White House. And all of a sudden, a police officer starts saying, everybody out of this area, get off the street and move on out. Of course, nobody argued. And as I was walking back down the street to make a right-hand turn to go back up the street around the side of the Treasury Department, out walked a police officer, and he came out of the Treasury building and walked up on the steps and those, I don't know what you call them. You have the steps and those big things on the side, big cement blocks up on the side, part of the architecture.
Not the columns.
Not the columns, just the big sides. You can stand on them. He comes walking out on that, and he is carrying an AK-47. And it is not like just slung over his shoulder. It's in his hands with his finger near the trigger, it looked like. I don't know if they got some sort of a scare or something. But my point is, that was just a surreal moment to be walking alongside the White House and then the Treasury Department and to see an officer come out with an AK-47 ready to spring into action if necessary.
I probably wouldn't have seen it. I'd have seen the gun. I'd hit the deck. I'd been looking at
well, he wasn't pointing at anybody. He was, but it was not at rest. It was not a casual, it wasn't just slung over his shoulder for decoration. They were eyeing the crowd, and they looked to be in a pretty serious mood. So nobody made a gesture or waved or did anything like that. Just we got out of Dodge as quickly as possible and went and had lunch. So there you go. That was my experience for the weekend. All right, when we come back, we'll take your phone calls. We've got the ACC standings for the preseason coming at you. Clemson, Florida State, Louisville. Who do you think they picked to win the championship? We'll talk about that. 800-956-7266 is the phone number here on Sports Talk Monday Night Edition from Columbia. Back in a moment. All right, so who did the ACC media vote for in the preseason ACC poll? The voting was actually done last week. Jarmart, did you vote? Did you participate in the balloting? Okay. So you, since you were there, you actually can offer up a solid opinion. The overall champion, Florida State, 118 votes. Clemson second at 35. Louisville third with 7. Virginia Tech and Miami tied for 4th. And Duke got a first place vote. In the Atlantic, Florida State carries the day, 121 votes for number 1. Clemson second with 37. Then Louisville, NC State, Wake Forest, Syracuse, and Boston College. The Coastal, Miami, followed by Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Pitt, North Carolina, Duke, and Virginia. So how can Duke – of course, did I not hear last week that Vanderbilt got a first-place vote in the SEC? Did I not hear that on Friday? I think I heard that on Friday.
So did South Carolina.
Gave it to him.
Well, I would believe South Carolina before I'd believe Vandy. But Duke, how can you vote Duke's 6th in the division but a vote to win the championship?
Somebody must be a David Cutcliffe fan.
The player of the year goes to Lamar Jackson of Louisville, followed by DeAndre Francois. I just love saying that name. Do you speak French? DeAndre Francois.
That's possible.
Je ne parle pas français.
Christian Wilkins, 3rd. Harold Landry from Boston College out of North Carolina, 4. Jalen Samuels, 5. And that's pretty much that. So that's the way they did it in the ACC, Jarmart. How did your vote line up with the actual final result?
I wasn't too far off. I agreed with the rest of the sheep in the media. I said Florida State up first, followed by Clemson, and then Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
I also hit with Miami coming in on the other side. I did Virginia Tech after Miami. I let them keep on with the success that they had last year.
Well, so did the media.
Yeah.
So did the bulk of the media.
I did then North Carolina after that, and then Georgia Tech rounding 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Johnson and I had a very spirited conversation.
No, Georgia Tech 4th. You'd have Georgia Tech 4th on your list.
I had Georgia Tech 4th. Sorry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then, Pittsburgh, Virginia, Duke going there. I picked Florida State to win it all. And then also, I disagreed with Lamar Jackson. I don't see him as being a player that I get behind as being the best. I didn't think that he was the Heisman candidate last year. I went with DeAndre Francois as being the new crown for the best player in the ACC.
If he can stay upright.
I think he will.
He took a lot of
I think
hits
they'll do a better
year.
job, much like Jake Bentley talked about things he's got to do as a quarterback to help his offensive line protect him. I'm sure DeAndre Francois is thinking about the same thing and being taught the things to help him stay upright. All right, thank you for that. Couple of other quick notes, then we'll get to phone calls, 800-956-7266. More watch lists today. The Paul Hornung Award, which goes annually to the most versatile player in the country. USC's Deebo Samuel is on that list, as is Clemson's Christian Wilkins, a defensive lineman. So those two are on the Paul Hornung watch list.
He goes into the jumbo package right down at the goal line.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Also, you have the Butkus watch list. And from Clemson, you have Joseph Kendall. This, of course, goes to the best linebacker. From South Carolina, Sky Moore. And from South Carolina State, Darius Leonard. They also have a Butkus High School Award. 3 players from the state are on that list. Jake Venables of Daniel, Channing Tindall of Spring Valley, and Khalid Jones of Burns. And from Florida, wide receiver Antonio Callaway, his drug-related May incident officially closed after a pretrial conference was held this morning. He reached a plea deal, pleading no contest to possession of drug paraphernalia. He paid a fine of $301. And this goes back to his arrest stemming from not his arrest, but it goes back to a marijuana citation back in May. And now it remains to be seen what they do with him in terms of punishment by the team. And Jarmart and Pro mentioned that Dave Gettleman out as the general manager of the Panthers today. He'd been in that position since 2003. All right, 800-956-7266, the number. Let's hear what's on your mind. Talk about the ACC poll, the SEC rankings from Friday. Start looking ahead to the season. Anything else you want to kick around? 800-956-7266. By the way, this will make a lot of people angry when I say this, but I have to say this. I mean, it's just on my mind. It's in my heart. I can no longer support Jackie Bradley Jr. as a fine representative of the state of South Carolina after what he did to Aaron Judge last night.
He's from Virginia, actually.
Well, but he reps his state. Nobody takes a home run from the Judge. But he did last night. What a play by JBJ. Mm-hmm. I was most unhappy over that. Most unhappy. Mm-hmm. All right, to the phones, John in Rock Hill. Okay, good place to start. Hi, John. Welcome to Sports Talk.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I have something else real quick, but Colin, I just saw that. I was actually watching the Red Sox game last night with JBJ, and when Aaron Judge hit it, I was like, oh, crap. And then I saw Jackie catch. I'm like, oh, no, he didn't. But that's not what I want to talk about. That's just on my mind.
Yeah.
I saw after the SEC media days, they were talking about, the projected for the SEC standings for each side. And I wrote them down because I like to do that. For the East, they had Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, South Kentucky, and Vanderbilt, and Missouri. Mm-hmm. And then the Western Division, no surprise, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Arkansas, A&M, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss. And actually in the Eastern Division, I would flip-flop, being a Carolina fan, I'd flip-flop us in Tennessee.
Yeah, a lot of people talked about that, especially when I put out my preseason poll before it came out. I did that on Wednesday night, or maybe it was Thursday night. And a lot of people responded by saying, people are taking South Carolina, Kentucky, and Tennessee, kind of putting them in a box and saying pull out any of the three for that number 3 spot behind Florida and Georgia. Which
I was thinking, like, how can you put Tennessee ahead of us when I was just looking at like 3 key players Tennessee has lost. They lost Barnett, who ended up going to the Eagles, Kamara, the running back, and Dobbs, who wasn't even that good to begin with. But anytime you lose your quarterback, you got to have to replace him.
Well, I agree with you because I think probably last year, Corny, one of the reasons the ACC had the tremendous success they had is they had more seasoned quarterbacks than the SEC had. The SEC struggled with a dearth of quarterbacks, and they were just finding. Now we see those young quarterbacks they were experimenting with. Now you see a renaissance of SEC quarterbacks now this year. Mm-hmm. But so anytime you lose your quarterback, I think that's a real strike against you. That's why I would think Tennessee is in for a drop this year.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought so too. But South Carolina has to go to Tennessee, but they do get Kentucky at home. I think Kentucky goes to Tennessee. I double check that. I think they go to Tennessee. But I think any of those 3 could emerge there in the 3 spot, or maybe even higher. Who knows? Quickly, we go to Jared in Greenwood. Jared, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, Phil. How y'all doing?
Good.
Got a couple questions. It's about Clemson. The quarterback deal up there at Clemson, do you see Kelly Bryant getting the nod because he's, I guess, a junior and with his legs? And do you see them changing up the playbook for him to run that offense? Or do you see Hunter Johnson going in because of his arm and he's having a good spring? And
well, let me sum it up for you real quick because we got a break coming up and Frank Martin on the other side. Right now, Kelly Bryant will be the starter going into the Kent State game. It's his job to lose right now because of seniority more than anything else. I think everybody knows that Hunter Johnson is probably the most talented player in that quarterback group, but he doesn't have the experience. How quickly he shows he can run a team, especially in a big game situation like Auburn, the quicker he'll move up. But at the start, it's going to be Kelly Bryant, and we'll see how they roll with him. Thank you, sir. Back in a moment. right, we're back at Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. Hope you had a great weekend, whatever you were doing over the weekend. You know, the weekends are swiftly slipping away from us in terms of freedom. Football coming up fast. What's today? July 17?
45 days.
About 8 days away or so from the opening of NFL camps, maybe a week, 8 days, 9 days for some. And then, of course, USC opens practice on the 31st. Clemson, the next day, I think. Tomorrow, Dabo Swinney will have his annual media press conference. Media golf outing. Tonight, he's having the annual dinner with the media in the upstate, which is something that I've never attended and never would. Sorry, nothing personal. I just don't think that you should be served dinner by people that you cover. I would just be kind of uncomfortable with that situation, I think. And I would hope that nobody from any real newspaper or news outlet would go. I would hope their bosses wouldn't let them. Now, if you work for one of the fan websites and, you feel like you're a member of the team at Clemson and you want to be close to the coach and hobnob with them, then fine. That's right up your alley. But, I would hope the Greenville News wouldn't have any of its people there, the Anderson paper, the States, the TV stations.
They'll be
I don't know who goes. I've never gone. I mean, it's not that. I mean, I could go if
there you go.
It was sent to all of us, and it's off the record. There's no interviews. Nothing that is said during that time there can be reported or repeated or tweeted or anything like that. This is just, total social gathering. Yeah, maybe I'm too old school. I just think, I've been there before where you get too close to people you cover and you get a little blind to things. And so I've seen that side of it. And I know that that's not, from a reporting standpoint, that's not a good thing to be. It's not a good place to be, because then you become a hypocrite when you have to criticize, when you have to write something negative, or you withhold your opinion, or you withhold something that you would have to write that would be negative when you're in that kind of situation. And believe me, it's a lot better not to have that on your back when you're trying to offer up a free and clear opinion about something. So anyway, that's what's happening up there. They'll have the golf thing tomorrow. We'll have some of that for you tomorrow night on the program if all goes well. Dabo will talk with the media around 10 o'clock, and then we'll go after that, and then they'll play golf. Now playing golf is a whole nother story. You're allowed to do that.
Oh, okay.
To me, that's fine.
Okay.
You get your golf paid for. You're out playing with other members of the media. That's fine.
You're not the only one to think of this.
Wait a minute. Now, am I being hypocritical?
No.
I think I am.
No. Remember now, even the Hall of Famer.
How can you say it's wrong to break bread and it's okay to break glass on a golf course?
Okay, I got two things. One, you're at Dabo Swinney's house.
Yeah.
That's a different zone of professionalism. A golf course is a independent, separate location, not at the personal residence.
Mm-hmm.
And two, he's giving someone a free round of golf. I think
plus
that's
you have to be there
thing.
For the comments, for the comments.
Well, that comes along with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to play golf. You don't have to eat, I guess, if you're at Dabo's thing. You can just sit there and be seen, or just listen
off.
Or whatever.
No, but you're not the only one that thinks this. You remember the Hall of Fame broadcaster, and he was associated with one team. Ben Scully said he never fraternized with players because he felt that would hurt him being critical when he would do the play-by-play, when he had to be critical.
Yeah, I can understand that. Then again, though, if you're part of the team, if you're the play-by-play announcer and you're part of the team, don't you want to get to know the players better? Don't you want to get to know some of their backstory so that you can relay that over the air?
He can get that on his own. He doesn't have need to fraternize with him.
Yeah.
To do that.
We were scheduled for Frank Martin at 6:30. That obviously hasn't happened yet, so we're waiting to see if that comes to fruition.
Well,
if not, will make it happen.
Well, I tell you what, I can tell you this.
I'm told just to keep trying, which we have, and to no avail. So perhaps we'll have to reschedule.
I can tell you, I spent part of Sunday afternoon ostensibly to see 2 games, just to see some of the players that were out there and some of the young players. And unfortunately, we got in the first game. It was about a 30 or 35-minute delay because toward the end of the first half, South Carolina State forward, Thomby, let me see if I got his name yet, Tashawnby Wright, senior, 6'7". He landed awkwardly going up for a rebound, and his leg looked like a pretzel. It really did. I think probably the last diagnosis was a broken ankle, because you could see the players just run out from under there. They didn't want to even see it.
Yeah.
And he was screaming. The trainer had to set and hold his leg in place. That tells you something was broken.
Well, you hate to hear that.
Then they had to bring him out a stretcher. And he's a local kid, Orangeburg Wilkinson guy, senior, getting ready to graduate next spring. And this was going to be his last season. I can't see him playing this year, as far as that's concerned. But Frank Booker was a guy who stood out, at least in the first game. That's the graduate transfer. He was something to coin like 5 or 6 from 3. He played some point, and he had about 3 or 4 assists. So you could tell the maturity on the court he had. Beatty, he looks like a player.
Yes.
Look like he's well put
They have
together.
said that from the very beginning, that this guy would come from Philadelphia and would be a big-time contributor for them.
Now, his jumper is one of those weird ones because it's line drive, but it goes in. At least yesterday went in. He was about 3 or 4 when I saw him playing. He will drive to the basket on you. Yeah. He's not afraid of contact.
Well, he's got a good body, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, you could tell Kotsar was experimenting with the 3, because he threw up about 3 bricks. Now, he hit one, but I can't give him credit for it because he hit the backboard and went in. But you could tell he's trying to extend his range to try to open up the floor more. Now, the young kid, Felipe Haas, he has a 3-point stroke. And here's the thing about him, Cohen, and I think players have to be alert to him. There was one play when they ran a backdoor play. The guard throws him the entry pass at the top of the key. He doesn't even touch the ball. He sees the ball. He knows the guy's cutting, and he just shifted on.
It's not a good idea to hit your mic when you're illustrating.
He did not catch the ball. He just redirected it to the guy, and it was a dunk. Now, the next time down, several plays down, you could tell he knows the game. He went to the top of the key. He gets the entry pass, and the wing is headed toward the basket. But the wing stopped. As soon as he caught the ball, he never looked. He threw where the wing was supposed to be, and it went out of bounds, and the guy looked at him. My fault. Should have been there. So you can tell he sees the floor. So you saw some things about the team that at least is encouraging in a setting like that where nobody knows everybody. But they looked pretty good yesterday, the players I saw.
Yeah, did they have Jason Cudd or Ibrahim Doumbia?
No. I don't think Doumbia was there, but I think Cudd was there, but he was in the 3rd game, and by that time I was.
Yeah, how about Minaya? You see Minaya?
No, I did not see. I think those 2 were in the last game.
Yeah,
they were in the last
game. All right, break is coming up, and we got some calls waiting. We got recruiting coming up as well. And who's that's next? Did you say Frank, as in who?
Frank Martin.
Oh, we got
join us in the next segment.
Oh, he will join us in the next segment. Okay. That'll be kind of a short segment. I'm not sure I can get everything in the short segment. We may have to carry him over past 7 o'clock. Make sure he's aware of that, because we can't squeeze everything into the shorter segment. And the phone calls, we'll get to you when we can, and recruiting when we can, and we'll get to Frank Martin, we're told, after this break here on Sports Talk. Don't go away. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Monday evening from the capital city. 800-956-7266. Well, we're just having a hard time hooking up with Coach Frank Martin, who we talked to during the break. Said call him back. We did. No connection. He may be traveling, recruiting, whatever the case may be. Not a big problem. If we don't catch him tonight, we will reschedule him for another time. We'll also get Brad Brownell on from Clemson before the Tigers go to Spain. You know, they're going to Spain in August for one of those overseas trips that teams can take every 4 years.
And normally teams come back better gelled. They usually have a decent season when they come back too.
Yeah. Well, he needs a decent season. He needs more than a decent season. He needs a really good season.
Yes.
Let's do recruiting here, and then we'll get back to phone calls. Tight end Elijah McAllister, who is 6'6", 230, Rumsden, New Jersey. He is coming to the state of South Carolina the end of this week, hoping to drum up interest from USC and Clemson. He has ties to both schools. A good friend attends USC, and his uncle, who lives in Columbia, is a diehard Clemson fan and attends most of the home games. I wonder if his uncle's Oliver Francis. What's the chances of that happening? Probably not. But anyway, he would love to add offers from one or both. Michigan State, Tennessee, Boston College, Maryland, 4 schools he's most interested in at this point, but he's kept USC on his board because of his contacts and how they like to use the tight end. He said USC wanted him to camp Friday, but he's going to Auburn that day for a camp. He'll come to USC Saturday and will work out if the coaches ask. He has been in touch with Assistant Director of Player Personnel Logan Hall about the visit. He'll go to Clemson Saturday as well, and he will also get to Georgia, North Carolina, and NC State while on his visit to the Southeast. He's not had much contact from Clemson at this point. He said he knows they already have a tight end committed. He doesn't know if they're taking another one, but he hopes to go there and generate some interest. He's also a basketball player, and so he brings a lot of athleticism to the position from his basketball standpoint. He says he's a big target, and he likes when the quarterbacks throw it up there and they look for him to make a play. He can also play defensive end, so he'll see how the trip goes. If it results in any offers, he'll then decide on a possible commitment in August. If not, he will wait until after the season. We interrupt. We don't do this for just anybody, but my goodness, how can we not take a phone call from the basketball coach at South Carolina, one of 4 men to coach in the Final Four last season, Frank Martin?
Phil, how are you?
Drop down and give me 20 for being late.
You're not lying. I actually, we're getting ready to have individuals here in a little bit. I just did 2 suicides in your name.
Well, some people might wish something along those lines. But anyway, it's good to have you with us for a couple of minutes, and maybe we can get you back on the other side of the top of the hour break since we're a little bit short on time here. Let's jump right into it. So you're doing individuals and all right now. How do you think some of the guys look to you?
Look great. I mean, I really like our team. I like the guys that are coming back. I like the first-year guys. It's exciting. We're gonna be a little different because our personnel's a little different, but that doesn't mean you're good or bad. That just means you're different, and that's what we have to utilize this time of year in the preseason to figure out how we need to play for this team that we've put together to be the best it can be next year.
Well, I know you won't change on defense, or your philosophy will not change on defense. So does that mean you had to change the way you do some things on offense?
Yeah, I mean, defensively, we are who we are, but offensively, there's certain things in there the guys on this team can't do, but the guys on this team, there's certain things they do that Senderis couldn't do. So, so it's a matter of utilizing strengths. I'm not into making predictions on anything, but I think this is going to be a better shooting team than we were last year. But can we have the things that you need when you're in the difficult moments of a season, or even the good moments of a season, to stay the course? And Senderis's leadership, Dwayne's consistency, PJ's growth, all those things. Are they going to be in place to help? Who's going to do those things for this team? I don't know, and we won't know until next season gets here, and that's okay. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, you look at your roster, and of your seniors and your juniors, only one of those played what you would call a major role, and that's Chris Silva. And I don't know, can Chris be that guy that the others can look up to and rally around like they did with Thornwell?
Yeah, why not? I mean, Phil, all your brethren in the media predicted that we were going to be no good because we graduated Michael, Limonis, and Mendogas. And obviously people didn't understand the guys in the locker room when they decided that we weren't going to be very good. And, we graduated some guys that were tremendous for this last year's team. But remember, the guys that are in place had to practice against those guys every day. The guys that are in place had to learn from those guys every day. And they did a pretty darn good job because we would not have been a Final Four team if everyone was on board. And, Chris was on board. My coach was on board. The guards were on board. Corey Holden, even though he didn't play, he was around it every single day. He had, he went through a growing process of understanding how we do things. So he's better prepared for it. So we'll see. I'm excited. I know I like our team a lot, and I'm curious to see what the future holds when the time comes.
Yeah. We're gonna hold you over, or we'll call you back in just a few minutes. We got a top of the hour break coming up, so if that's okay with you, we'd like to call you back for a few more minutes.
Just call me back, Phil. Okay,
and listen now. We're talking basketball, and it's July 17th, okay? And we're talking basketball here on football is on top of us. And what are we doing here on Sports Talk? Tell me, what are we doing?
I've got you confused. That's how messed up Sindarius and PJ. That's what they've done. That's what they've done to you. They've confused you. But basketball's not a topic that you know what to say or talk about in July. But it's okay, Phil.
Yes.
I'm patient. I'm willing to keep working on it.
We're trying, and we'll call you back in about 8 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Frank Martin, we'll get back to him for part 2 of our conversation. We'll also go back and complete the recruiting report here coming up. But I'm glad we're able to get him on to talk. And I want you to talk to him about what you saw at the South Carolina Summer League deal from the players, and you can share your thoughts on what you saw, some of the guys they have coming in. But Silva, he made such progress last year, and then in the postseason, he was just a man. He was just a man, even though he was outsized in many of those games, not necessarily in height, but just in bulk. But he would not be rooted out of the lane. But after that, I mean, really, Frank Booker is a senior as a transfer guy. Corey Holden is a junior, hasn't played for them. Hassani Gravett is a junior. And, he was a role player last year. Maybe his role will expand. And your sophomores are Felder, Coates, and Guillet. Am I saying that right?
Guillet, I think.
Guillet. Yeah. And then you got there's no redshirt freshmen, and then you have your 5 freshmen coming in. So they lost a lot of veteran guys, both in terms of the major contributors and then role guys like a Justin Mackey, like a who's the one, Tamarcus Blanton, who had to retire, who's been in the program like 3 years. So there's just not a lot of on the court, in the locker room leadership there right now outside of Silva, and that would be a big question mark.
Yeah, you got to remind yourselves that when Florida graduated that first wave under Billy Donovan, we thought they were done. And then here comes that other gang that won 2 national championships.
But you're talking about maybe just a different level of talent there in comparison.
But we didn't know that then.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back. All right. Let's see here. It's new. What else? All right, coming down in 3, 2, 1. Tight end Elijah McAllister of Rumson, New Jersey, is visiting the state of South Carolina the end of the week. He's going to see USC and Clemson in hopes of generating offers from the two. Now, pick it up again. Did I not put some of his offers in there? Okay, yeah. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tight end Elijah McAllister of Rumson, New Jersey, will visit the state of South Carolina the end of the week. He'll be at USC and Clemson, hoping to generate more interest from the two. Right now, Michigan State, Tennessee, Boston College, and Maryland are the 4 schools he's most interested in. 2019 athlete Dominique Blalick of Atlanta. Wait a minute. I think Shoot. I wish I knew what I did last night. Did I do that one last night? All right, take it again. I don't think I did that last night. In 3, 2, 1. Tight end Elijah McAllister of Rumson. In 3, 2, 1. Tight end Elijah McAllister of Rumson, New Jersey, will visit the state of South Carolina this weekend in hopes of generating some more interest from USC and Clemson. His top schools right now are Michigan State, Tennessee, Boston College, and Maryland. 2019 athlete Dominique Blalick of Atlanta committed to Georgia. Clemson was on his short list. The Tigers have offered 2019 offensive lineman Devontae Dobbs of Belleville, Michigan. 2019 defensive lineman Tyshik Galloway of Belton Honeypath. 2019 defensive lineman Tyshik Galloway of Belton Honeypath plans to be at USC's camp on Friday. Running back Asa Martin of Decatur, Alabama, visited Clemson on Monday, and USC's in the top 5 with defensive back C.J. Smith of West Palm Beach, Florida, a former Florida commit. Phil Kornbluth, South Carolina, Radio Network Sports. That should work for you. Tight end defensive lineman Tyshik Galloway. 2019 defensive lineman Tyshik Devontae Dobbs. 2019 Michigan. 2019 defensive lineman Tyshik Galloway of Belton. Oh man, I'm getting good at this part. I can guess how long you're going to go recruiting just by your breath and your energy going in. I guess that this was going to be a little bit shorter. I was like, this is going to be a 45-second one. How long was it? 46. Oh! All over it.
You make it 45, you can press it. Oh.
Didn't get a chance to get my coffee today. Boy, Washington's on fire. How about the Braves? The Braves are up to 500.
They're only 6 out of the wild card. Oh, man, because all the wild cards are ready to come out of the West. But see, Milwaukee gonna make a move or something because they think they can stay where they are, but they'll have to make a move.
Who, the Brew Crew?
Mm.
They're not making a move without the approval of one Carson Mason.
Don't stop now. More sports talk is on its way. Listen to the final word in sports all across the state with your host, Phil Kornblut.
And let's get some final words with USC basketball coach Frank Martin, who has rejoined us here after the top of the hour break, and we certainly appreciate that. Sort of our halftime. We go into the locker room. We make some adjustments. We talk about what we did well in the first hour, what we did poorly in the second hour, and we come out ready to go in hour number two, just like a halftime lecture.
Okay.
You know, Phil, I don't like saying that I rejoined you. That makes it seem like I disowned you at some point.
Right. We don't want to do that. Do you consider yourself a good halftime adjuster? Do you consider that a strength?
Depends how the first half went.
Okay.
You know, depends how the first half went. Sometimes you adjust, sometimes you counsel, sometimes you kind of ruffle people's feathers. It's I think the most overrated thing that exists is, you know, at halftime there's certain execution stuff that you adjust and you come out with this new wave offensive technique that changes how the game's played in the second half. I think adjustments are it all depends on how the first half goes. I mean, you know, do we talk about in a different setting than a timeout what we're doing right and wrong? Absolutely. You know, timeouts, you don't have enough time, and guys are too engaged in the emotion of the game to just kind of relax and really, really understand some kind of a major adjustment. Those you do at halftime. But I think there's a game plan in place, and your job is to, you know, tweak it here and there at halftime, and more than anything, pay attention how the other team is trying to attack you, so the players have a better idea of what works and what doesn't work.
Are all your freshmen on campus this summer?
No, we're still missing one, and you know, it's we're waiting on the what do you call it? I always forget what the organization's called, the clearinghouse, to give the thumbs up on one of them. But you know, we're optimistic there. We're just waiting for all the things to just kind of process the way that, you know, they need to be processed.
Is that can you say who it is? Is that Doumbia?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
Doumbia, yeah.
I'm not trying to keep that as a secret.
Right.
That's exactly what it is.
You feel good about, from what you know, you feel good about the likelihood of him getting approved and getting in?
Yeah, I don't see why that, you know, they had to do some extra work on some stuff. Not the young man, the NCAA or the clearinghouse, but they're doing their due diligence. They have a hard job, and I get it. You know, the problem here's where the problem lays. You know, he didn't graduate from high school till middle of June, so they don't start all this stuff that they do until the young people are have graduated. You know, it's not like they evaluate the sophomore transcript or the junior transcript after their sophomore year or their junior year. They wait till they're officially high school graduates, and then they start evaluating things. So we had to wait the middle of June and for them to start their process. So we couldn't get them into the first summer.
Gotcha.
Into the second summer, excuse me.
Gotcha. Talking with Frank Martin from USC. So, you know, going into the next season, expectations will be sky high. Everybody enjoyed the run to the Final Four. I mean, that was just such a neat time in sports in our state. I mean, I don't know. You can't get any better than that, making it to a football national championship or the College World Series or the Final Four. That's what we all want to see here in the state. So the question is, with all the people that you lost, all that experience, all that age, how do you avoid slipping back? And we see a lot of times a team will make it to the Final Four. You won't hear from them again for several years because they did expend a lot to get to the Final Four that time. How do you avoid that?
I don't think you ever judge teams based on getting to the Final Four. You know, if South Carolina were judged on getting to the Final Four, what do you think we would have been judged before this year? You know, it's that's not a reasonable barometer. It's that's very few teams can claim they were a part of it.
I wasn't saying that, you know, that's what you have to do. This isn't Kentucky or Duke. I get that. But, you know, the fans are still going to want you to make that little bit of a run again. You know, they want to see you right there deep into March.
Yeah, and so will I. That's not changing. You know, this is the biggest lack of understanding that we all have on something. You know, fans think they're the only ones that are upset when the team doesn't do well. Well, imagine the people that actually work at it every single day, how they feel when they've invested so many hours, sleepless nights, emotions, sweat, blood, and they can't quite accomplish what the goal is, which is play in March. And once you get into that tournament in March, and anything happens, and we're the perfect example of that. But yeah, no, I you know, Phil, I never work worried about failure. I work excited about the people that believe in each other and the possibilities of success. And that's kind of the way I go about it. I don't sit around and say, well, we're not good enough for this, not good enough for that. Well, we're not good. If we recruited players that make me think we're not good enough, then I don't deserve to be the coach here. So, you know, that's kind of the way we go about it.
Well, Coach, I happened to go to Kerry Rich's South Carolina Pro-Am last night. Saw some of the guards you're hoping to have play well for you this year. Beatty looked very good as a newcomer, and of course, Booker, with his experience, he showed off his three-point stroke, and Asani Gravett looked like he put on a little bit of weight and strength over the offseason. But the guy I was enamored with, Coach, is Felipe Haas. Just looking at a big man who can pass from the wing. I don't know if you've ever used a big man like that. You had an outside stroke and had a tremendous court vision from that position. Are you dreaming up ways you can use a guy like this?
Yeah, that's he's so different than the bigs that we had. That it was a natural thing. His IQ, his understanding how to play, his skill level. You know, that's it's something that we didn't have, and I thought would be a great addition to our basketball team. And after being around them here this summer, because just like Doumbia, he didn't graduate in high school in time to be here for summer one. Being around them in summer two, that's obvious. And as a coach, you get excited when you get something different, because it's like I was telling Phil earlier, it's like a new toy. You got to kind of figure out how to play with the new toy. So you don't play with it enough, you don't really understand what best way to use it. So I'm excited with what Felipe brings to the table.
How well do you think Felder and Holden will play together in the backcourt? Will they be two guys that you'll have on the floor simultaneously? You know, Phil, I've said from day one that I love playing the game with two guys on the court that think and play like point guards. And my first year here,
You know, I had Bruce Ellington who played football, so I could never get him until the very end of the season thinking the way I wanted him to think. And then by the end of the year, him and Eric Smith played together, and that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we played pretty good at the end of the year, even though we weren't a very good team. My second year, we lose Ty Johnson to a broken foot, so it forced Dwayne Notice and Sindarius to play point, two things that they hadn't played before. Then you go to that following year, now you get Ty Johnson. Now you get Dwayne and Sindarius. So now we started having two guys that understood what I wanted from the point guard spot. Well, guess what? We have a winning season. Now you fast forward to the following year. Now you have Marcus Stroman. You have PJ. You got Dwayne. You got Sindarius. Now we win 25 games. Now hit fast forward. Now you got PJ. You got Dwayne. You got Sindarius. And then finally, Rolf Felder by the end of the year. So now we make a run in the NCAA tournament. I love guys that think the game like point guards and have the skills of point guards to play together at the guard spot.
Hey, we're going to let you go, and we thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Phil. Keep talking basketball. It's not a bad thing.
All right, thanks again to Frank Martin for being with us. Now that we have finished up with him, we can get back to what we really want to talk about, and that's football. We love talking basketball, of course.
Emily,
erase that number from my telephone list. Now let's talk some football, some high school football. The High School Sports Report has put together its preseason rankings. I think the first preseason high school football rankings for the state. And who else to talk to about teams in our state than the one, the only, David Shelton? How are you, sir?
I'm surviving there, friend, surviving.
That's good. It beats the alternative, and we're glad to have you with us. Now, you were at your own media day yesterday talking with some people. Who really impressed you of the kids you had a chance to talk to?
Oh, man, I tell you what, I tweeted out last night that it was a very intelligent group of kids there yesterday. I mean, I'm not knocking past groups, but you know, in our business, when you talk to high school kids, you're not sure what you're going to get when you ask a question. First, you're not sure you're going to get an answer that you can use, and second of all, sometimes you get an answer that you can't decipher, that you need a translator because of the language they use sometimes. But I tell you, it was, you know, guys like R.J. Roderick and DeCarrion Joyner and Chance Pride from Eastside. Man, just very smart kids that well thought out, mature. You know, that's why they're Division I prospects, to be honest with you, because they're mature kids. And but there were a lot of great kids. Channing Tyndall was great from Spring Valley, but it was really an impressive. You know, there was over 300 kids there. I would say between 300 and 400 kids from all over the state. And obviously, I didn't talk to all 300 of them, but the ones I did, you know, have an opportunity to chat with, it was good stuff. It was fun to be there.
All right, very good. Now to the rankings, which, you know, I'm sure you guys have gotten a lot of phone calls and emails and text messages and tweets at you.
Not me.
Well, the person or the people who put the list together. And in 5A, you're going with Gaffney, the number one team. Is that you think that's justified to have Gaffney number one?
Well, I mean, I think Gaffney's going to be really good. You know, they got a good quarterback and good receiver. So I think they're going to be able to score points. They were able to score points last year. The big question in past years has been their defense, and their defense should be improved. They got a lot of kids back. So, you know, me personally, I would not have had Gaffney at number one, but I know Billy Baker did his own research, and he felt and you know, to be honest, sometimes when he does his preseason polls, he looks for the pow and the wow. He tries to get conversation started, and in all the other classes, he kind of went chalk. You know, South Point, Chapman, Abbeville. You know, teams at Lamar in Class A, teams that most people would say would be a number one. But I can tell you this: 5A is going to be extremely competitive between, you know, Gaffney, Fort, Dorchester, Dutch Fort, Northwestern, Dorman. You know, I think all those teams are going to be really good. I think Spartanburg is going to be, you know, very competitive. I think Somerville is going to be improved. I'll be interested to see how, you know, Somerville and Spartanburg open the season with each other. That'll be a good measuring stick right off the bat. All
right, let me give you the top 10. Gaffney, Fort Dorchester, Dutch Fort, Dorman, Northwestern, West Side, Sumter, Greenwood, Spartanburg, Blythewood. Now, you got Conway, or he's got Conway at 12. How is Conway going to handle that coaching situation moving forward in terms of, the players responding to that situation?
Yeah, that's a very good question. There is talent. There is some experience and some talent on that team. They did lose their quarterback, but they've got some players, you know, a couple of linemen that are D1 prospects, and they got the young man that committed to East Carolina as a receiver. You know, I think they'll be able to handle that okay, that coaching situation, because Coach Jordan does have a pretty veteran staff, guys that have been together for a while. But that will be, you know, people will be watching that. But I think Conway is going to be, you know, a pretty competitive football team because of their talent.
All right, in 4A, it's South Point, followed by Hartsville, Belton Honeypath, Myrtle Beach, Berkeley, Cane Bay, Union County, South Aiken, Greer, and North Augusta. South Point, when it comes just to individual talent right now, don't you think South Point's just head and shoulders above everybody else?
Yeah, and the thing they got, not only do they have individual talent, but they've got a system and they've got a coaching staff, and they've been there, done that for so long now. They just, they're the logical number one. And the thing is, preseason polls are what they are. You go through the season and you lose a game here or there, but South Point just seems to always, man, they turn it up a notch come playoff time. They're good during the season, but they're really good come playoff time.
All right, 3A, Chapman, Dillon. What? Is Billy trying to make the people of Dillon mad or something? Chapman 1, Dillon 2. What's up with that?
Yeah, I kind of like that one myself. Chapman's got a lot of guys back. Chapman beat Dillon last year in the state championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Dillon does have to replace the quarterback and a running back, and they have some holes, but they're going to be really good. But Chapman returns like all of that offensive production, quarterback, running back, receivers. They're going to be able to put points on the board. So, I would see Chapman as the favorite going in. I think, we got Newberry at 3, and I think they're going to be really good with that little running back they've got. But 3A is kind of, to me, when you look after the first 3 or 4, I think it's wide open after that. I don't see like 7 or 8 contenders like I might in 5A.
Wait a second. Dillon replacing the quarterback. Where'd Hawkins go?
Where'd he go? To North Carolina? Somewhere in Charlotte? Yeah, he transferred.
How many schools is that kid going to play for?
Well, I think this will be 5.
That's unbelievable. This will be his 5th high school, right?
I believe that's correct, yeah, because there was 3 and one. He played at 3 last year. Well, he didn't play games, but he started at the one in Charlotte, went to York, and then ended up at Dillon. So, and before that, he was at some other schools. So, yeah, they moved. God, I can't remember the high school, but it's a pretty good program there in the Charlotte area, I believe. But yeah, he's not at Dillon.
Was not aware until now. Okay,
there's a lot of stories behind that.
Oh, I have no doubt. Oh, so Chapman, Dillon, Newberry, Fairfield Central, Seneca, Timberland, Gilbert, Palmetto, Powdersville, and Crescent. 2A, Abbeville, of course, Barnwell, Sherraw, Saluda, Batesburg, Leesville, Woodland, Central, Lee Central, Blacksburg, Bamberg, Earhart, ladder there at 14 and on the rise. So anybody got anything for Abbeville?
Oh yeah. I think Barnwell's going to be really good. I think Sherraw's going to be really good. Saluda has really been coming in the last couple of years. Batesburg, solid program. I think Abbeville is the favorite going in, but I don't think that they'll be it won't be a cakewalk through 2A. I think a team like Latta, a team like Andrews, it's got some pretty good athletes. They could make a dent. Bamberg Earhart at 10. When's the last time we've seen them that low? They obviously are going to be pretty good, I think.
Yeah. All right, in 1A, Lamar, Lakeview, Louisville, the 3 L's, Cross, C.E. Murray, McBee, Williston, Elko, McCormick, Hanna, Pamplico, and Hemingway. Will Lamar have that suffocating defense once again?
Probably so. They did lose some good players in Lakeview, the defending state champ, and the number 2 team they lost like 18 seniors. But they had some good young players, but they're going to need a little bit of time to recover. I think Cross at number 4 could be a team to watch. They've got a couple of players. I saw them in the passing league for just about, a couple of scrimmages in a little passing league I attended, and they don't throw the ball a lot, but they got some good athletes. They got a running back who's committed to Wofford, pretty good player. But I think Lamar is the best team in Class A right now. They probably will argue that and say, no, nobody wants to be number 1, but I think they're going to be one of the teams to beat.
David Shelton, High School Sports Report. Follow him on his Twitter page, man. Your Twitter family's growing. Give me the exact address. Give me the exact address.
It's at dshelton66.
At dshelton66, High School Sports Report, Charleston Post and Courier, and, of course, with us on Friday nights. It's coming fast, my friend. Get ready. Look forward to talking to you again.
Okay, man. Y'all take care.
Thank you. David Shelton with us here on Sports Talk. Good to talk some high school football. Fisher to Berry coming up in just a moment. All right, thanks again to David Shelton for being with us here on Sports Talk. I always love talking to David. Nobody knows more about high school football teams across the state than David. That's why we love having him as part of what we do here during football season. And it's all starting to come together. You know, the wheels are turning. The mind never rests. I'm always thinking about what we can do bigger and better. It's all coming together for the upcoming football season. So stay tuned. We'll let you know at the appropriate time. We got a little bit of time. We haven't gone to training camp yet. We'll let you know when we announce our training camp and we start working on things, exactly what we're going to do and how we're going to do it.
Just make sure you put a label on all your chemicals. Don't want you to fix up concoction that's going to blow up on somebody.
Like what? Like who?
No, just, have all your ducks in a row.
We plan to. Now, with football season coming at us quickly, you know what that means here in South Carolina. I cannot believe this will be the 8th year coming up next week, July 26th, a week from Wednesday. South Carolina Coaches for Charity, which is something that Fisher DeBerry started here in South Carolina and in other states, and it has just continued to grow wherever it has been yearly. And the coach is with us now here on Sports Talk. And good evening, sir. How are you?
Good. Hey, Phil, how y'all doing?
Man, we're doing great. Are you down at the beach?
Yeah, I just got in today. We got up at 4 o'clock this morning in Oklahoma and caught a 5:45 flight and landed here about 11:45, and been going 90 miles an hour trying to get this place back in order.
Well, I can imagine. And you got a big week next week with your Coaches for Charity event. And like I said, it gets bigger here and in your other states. It's nearly sold out in Greenville, so we'll let people know that you need to move quickly. Only about 3 tables are left, and you can go to the website, southcarolinacoaches.com, to get information and get your tickets. But once again, you got the coaches ready to come on board to help you out with this thing and raise money for their own personal charities.
Well, they're all excited, Phil, and certainly we're excited that this is the 8th annual, and we expect, to be honest, the biggest attendance and the biggest success that we've had yet. There's a lot of enthusiasm for it. And of course, how can you not be enthused about football at this time of the year? Talk about being busy. I don't know if anybody's probably been any busier than you guys. The SEC and the ACC doing their media weeks so early, and the Big 12 started this week. And football, of course, football never leaves here, but football is right upon us. And what a great time to be having a gathering like this, whenever folks can come out and see the coaches, in a little more relaxed venue, and hobnob and rub shoulders with them, and hear their hearts, because they're going to share what things are really important to their lives, and why they choose the charity that they choose, and how things are really going for them, and what the coming season looks like. So it's a really great time, but a great time of fellowship, but certainly an opportunity to do a lot for young people and other needy people in this state. And that's the passion and part of the coaches, and the passion of why we do what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talking to Fisher DeBerry, and you're going to have up on the stage this time the coach of the national champions. Now that will be a little different for you, won't it?
Well, all right. We'll have Dabo, and that's going to be quite an honor, and I'm sure he'll bring a great enthusiastic following there from Clemson, being, as close as it is. But, we're going to have 2 national coaches of the year there in Dabo, and certainly I think I know we're going to have trying to think real quick. It just left my mind just a minute ago. But Danny Ford's going to join us. And of course, Danny, just went into the College Football Hall of Fame. And, so where in the world can you get an opportunity to really rub shoulders with the 2 more prominent coaches, and 2 more that have given more to the game than you can imagine. And that's going to be a lot of exciting things for the people that will be there. I guarantee you.
Yeah, and now when you sit down next to Mike Ayers at Wofford and Brent Thompson at the Citadel, I mean, do y'all sit there, the three of you, and just talk triple option and how to fake it to the A back and give it to the B back, or occasionally toss it to the full back? I mean, do y'all talk triple option? Is that all y'all talk about?
Well, Phil, you never get coaches together. There's something not said about the strategy or the technique of the game or something about the game, but it really isn't about that. It's about what we can do to help particularly young people in this state have opportunities, like our foundation, for example, for single-parent kids in this state. And Lord knows, do we have a lot of them, and have we sent a lot of them to camp this year? And we just feel like they can really make a tremendous difference in their lives. And so there's so many other needy things that have been chosen by the coaches, and so a lot of people and a lot of organizations in this state will benefit from this night, and that's what really the night is about. It's a night that the coaches can give. We're always on the receiving end, it seems like, as coaches, but it's an opportunity for the coaches to show the heart that they have, and the passion they have, and the feeling they have, and the appreciation that they have for the support that this state gives each coach, but it shows how much they care about people.
Sure. Now, as far as what the fan can expect to see at this event, they'll have a chance to talk with the coaches a little bit, question and answer situation with them, maybe get some autographs, rub elbows. Can the fans get pretty close to the coaches?
Oh yeah, boy, that went with a crowd before the event starts, and they certainly can get a lot of autographs. The coaches understand that. There'll be a lot of interviews that the coaches will give to the press that will be there, and as you know, the press really attends this very, very well, and the coaches have a good time. They see and meet and greet a lot of people that they don't normally see, and it's just a relaxed time, before all hell breaks loose, so to speak, when the seasons get ready to start.
Right.
Because in a few weeks, it's going to be the talking season is going to be over with, and it's going to be 9 to 5 and more for coaches, because you never have enough time. But this is a little bit of time that they can relax, and they'll get on stage, and I'm sure that our MC will have some entertaining questions from them, and they'll have fun with each other up there, and then they will choose from their community. And this is, to me, one of the most impressive things that we do. But they choose someone from their community that best epitomizes the qualities of Jerry Richardson, the owner of the Carolina Panthers. And we all know what Jerry has done, so many people in the states of North Carolina and South Carolina, and what the Panthers have meant. But, the people that have given back in their community, and that meant so much to their universities. And, I think Galloway is going to honor Renfrew, and we know the great play he had and the great young man he is. But it's not about football. It's what Hunter does off the field. And Citadel's going to honor Dr. Kenny Caldwell, and what a great player he was in this state. But as a well-known orthopedic surgeon, and has done so much in the Charlotte area, and in the Charleston area, and then Wofford's going to honor Ed Wild, and I coached Ed when I was at Wofford, and I'm so happy that he's being recognized, because boy, he has really got a big heart. It has done so much for people, and Buddy's going to honor Joe Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Joe's the 55-year-old running guy.
I know,
running back at South Carolina State. But he wasn't doing. He loves the game, but he certainly has given a lot back to the community. And then Furman has chosen John and Jeanette Cochran, who. He has certainly done an unbelievable job in real estate development of Greenville County, and is trustee emeritus at Furman University, and has just given so much time. But that's the exciting part. We recognize people that are most valuable community stewards and servants that have given so much of their time and love to their communities and to their students.
Coach, as always, we thank you for being with us. Great luck with the event next week, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, look forward to seeing you again, Phil. Thanks so much for calling. Have a great night.
Thank you. Coach Fisher DeBerry, who, by the way, next June will turn 80 years young. So happy times for him. Back in a moment. All right, thanks again to Coach Fisher DeBerry for being with us here on Sports Talk. You were telling me something about Chris Silva off air?
Yeah, the game I missed last night, as I was telling you, he was in the last game. 27 points, 15 rebounds, 5 blocks. But here's the stat that Frank Martin don't want to see. 3 for 4 from 3-point range. Now, you don't want him out there. You want him underneath offensive rebounding. That's what you want underneath, or slamming it on somebody. So I think, as you said, he'll probably cut him out of that habit real quick once they get in a serious camp.
Yeah, I'm sure that wouldn't last very long. All right, let's get back and wrap up recruiting. We had to pause it with Coach Martin giving us a call when he did. Weather delay in Atlanta, by the way, Cubs and Braves. How about the Braves? Back to 500.
45-45.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great job by those guys. And, of course, the big news, Toronto leading Boston 3-0. It's always good when the Red Sox are losing.
Justin Smoke, 2-run double.
Good for him. I'm glad that JBJ couldn't get to it and rob him like he robbed my man.
He hit it away from him.
If you want to join in the final minutes of the show, we've got time for calls after recruiting, 800-956-7266. We told you about tight end Elijah McAllister. 2019 athlete Dominique Blaylock of Atlanta committed to Georgia yesterday. Clemson was on the short list. He's the son of former NBA basketball star Mookie Blaylock. USC target defensive lineman Rick Sandage of Concord, North Carolina, was at Georgia yesterday. He plans to visit USC this coming weekend. Defensive back Trey Dean of Hampton, Georgia, was at Georgia yesterday and was scheduled to be at Clemson today. And he said Clemson, Georgia, and Florida State are his final 3, and he is scheduled to announce July 31st. But this is one where the recruiting is sort of getting away from this kid. I mean, he was supposed to look at Texas and go visit Texas. I'm starting to get the feeling schools are turning away from him for some reason, just based on the behavior related to the visits. Spring Valley linebacker Channing Tindall, you heard David Shelton mention him. He was at the High School Sports Report Media Day yesterday, and he was at Georgia Saturday. This coming week, he goes to Florida Friday and Florida State Saturday. He also met with some USC coaches after the media session on Sunday. As far as Georgia, he said that trip was amazing. He spent time with the linebackers coach and really enjoyed what went on there as far as learning some things. And he's emerged out of the recruiting shadows to be one of the most recognized linebackers in his class. He was at the opening earlier this month. He was the top linebacker there. And yesterday he talked about things can be a little bit overwhelming, but he understands it as part of the recruiting process. As far as getting to a decision, he wants to see 1 or 2 games this season and see what the players already there have done, how they apply it to the football field, and how successful they are. He's been working with a short list of USC, Georgia, Florida, and Auburn, and now is looking at a decision sometime in September. Clemson offered 2019 offensive lineman Devontae Dobbs of Belleville, Michigan. 2019 defensive lineman Tyshik Galloway of Belton Honeypath plans to be at USC's camp Friday. Running back Asa Martin of Decatur, Alabama, took a visit today. USC's in the top 5 with defensive back C.J. Smith of West Palm Beach, Florida, a former Florida commitment. He also has Oregon, Louisville, Michigan, and Oklahoma State on his short list. Basketball. Now, pro, this is going to make you feel old. Older than dirt, perhaps.
Uh-oh.
Clemson has offered 2019 6'8" Tracy Jackson Davis, Greenwood, Indiana, the son of former Clemson and NBA star Dale Davis.
Wow.
So do you feel old?
Yeah, well, I feel old today anyway because it's a Monday. Tracy Jackson, that was a guy
played at
player at Notre Dame.
Well, the name is spelled Trayce.
Okay.
I don't know that that's a connection.
No, I don't
there.
think he spelled it that way.
Clemson offered 2019 6'5" Blake Henson of Deltona, Florida, His brother is a tight end and small forward at USC. And he also has a USC football offer at this point. Florida offered 6'6" Aaron Neesmith of Porter Gaud. He's a guy that's blowing up. Baseball, outfielder Chase Roberts of Lugoff Elgin decommitted from Clemson. And USC landed a commitment from 2019 right-hander Trey Tuish of Charlotte. Tujetsch. Or Tujesh. Tujesh or not Tujesh? That is the question. That's all I have. You got anything, Pro?
No.
Okay. Nice of you to contribute to the recruiting effort we have here on Sports Talk. All right, that'll do it for recruiting tonight. Remember, you can catch it all the time on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting. Tomorrow or Wednesday, 100% sure, tomorrow or Wednesday, the all-ACC preseason team will be announced, so we'll keep an eye out for that. Our poll question this week on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, SEC media picked USC 4th in the East. That is A, too low, B, too high, C, right on the money. I would say too low because I picked them 3rd. Most people are saying too low, about 44%. 35% say right on, and about 21% say too high.
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. If from a prediction standpoint, I think it's too low. But from a point that Will Muschamp wants to crank his team up, see where they got y'all picked. So maybe it's just right.
All right, quickly back to the phones we go one final time here. And Glenn in North Charleston, you got about 45 seconds. What up?
Well, real quick, the reason why they won't let you guys into Washington right now is because of the threat of war. It might be going to somewhat of a condition of awareness about public going into public buildings right now. So that's probably why you're not allowed in, because of North Korea.
Okay. Well, it was kind of weird. I was telling the buddies I was with, of course, they know this too. I mean, when you're in Washington, you wonder how many missiles are pointed at that city from all over the world. I mean, think about it. They got missiles from all over the world. China, Russia, North Korea. Well, they can't. North Korea can't reach it yet. China and Russia probably can. They got missiles pointed right at the city.
Well, here's
just like we got missiles pointed at some places.
Here's the point I want to make.
Yeah, we do. We got a lot of missiles pointed out there.
Here's the point I want to make about that. If you study history and you study war, the last place you actually want to bomb a country is its capital, because you want there be control when and if you take over to have that government seat sitting there. So if you notice in battle, the last stranglehold they actually attack is the capital. Even as the Americans and allies were bombing Germany, they waited till last. Berlin was last because they wanted to see if they could keep the capital intact before bombing the capital.
Well, Washington is a fun city. I mean, I've been there. Well, this was, I guess, maybe the first time I'd been there in many years, but the first time I've had a chance to really just socialize and go out and have a good time. It's a fun city. I recommend it highly while it's still standing.
Strange, though? Drive on a highway, drive straight, and see how many times the Washington Monument moves left to right on you.
You can't miss it. I mean, I think I got 20 different views of it as we walked around the place. So, all right, thank you, Pro. Thank you, Jarmart. I'll be back 9 show days from now. Enjoy Teddy Hefner and others with the guys, and we'll see you soon. Good night.